Gregor the woodcutter lived in the northern village, where winters were long and roads were rocky. One morning, he gathered his firewood and walked to the market square, hoping to sell enough to buy bread for the week. He had barely set down his load when an old traveler approached. The man's face carried the marks of many roads traveled, and his eyes held that stillness that comes only to those who have watched the world turn for many years. "You are Gregor," the traveler said. It was not a question. Gregor straightened. "I am. What brings you to a simple woodcutter?" "I am a merchant from the walled city of wisdom, far to the east, across the barren lands. I have traveled many weeks to find you." Gregor's hand paused on his bundle. "To find me? Whatever for?" "In our city, there exists a remarkable place, the market of minds. There we trade in cleverness, in wit, in the art of understanding. When I arrived in your country, I heard whispers of your reputation. They say you possess quick mind, so I thought, you must come to the market of minds, sell your cleverness there, and return home a wealthy man." Gregor studied the stranger with suspicion. "This sounds like a trick. Why seek out a woodcutter for such a thing?" "Not a trick," the merchant said. "Take your wits to that market, trade them for gold, and your fortune is made." Gregor considered this. "How would I reach this place? These old legs know only the forest paths." The traveler handed him a rope. "Take my old horse. He knows the way. He will walk without ceasing, and when he stops, you will have reached the gates of the city." Gregor returned home as afternoon light slanted through the shutters. His wife Marta looked up from her mending, and he told her everything. She listened without speaking until he finished, then set down her needle with a sound like a warning. "Gregor," she said, "that man is a trickster. He mocks you. He wants you to arrive in some distant city and be laughed at by strangers." "But Marta," Gregor protested, "he gave me his horse without hesitation. No trickster parts so easily with something of value." "And do you know where that horse will lead you?" Marta asked. "My heart finds no peace in this tale." That night, Gregor lay awake while Marta breathed steadily beside him. He stared at the ceiling and thought of the market of minds. Finally, he shook her awake. "Marta," he whispered, "do you realize how many tricks I know? If I sell them in that market, we could build a house larger than the manor. I could give you silk dresses and servants." Marta's laugh was soft and knowing in the darkness. "Ah, husband, have you still not learned to tell dreams from waking?" "I have decided," Gregor said. "I will go to this market, and I will outwit every soul who stands against me." "And if it is all deception?" Marta asked. "If that man laughs even now at the thought of you walking into his trap, I risk little enough." Gregor said, "I will carry some coins. If the market proves false, I shall buy goods in that city and sell them upon my return. A merchant's profit either way." Marta sighed, the sound of acceptance mixed with resignation. "As you wish, Gregor. A man must follow his own road, even when it leads through shadows." So Gregor prepared for his journey. He packed bread and dried meat, filled his water skin, and gathered his warmest cloak. The traveler's old horse stood patiently in the yard, and beside it, Gregor tied his own horse, Jacob, a steady beast he had owned since it was a foal. He loaded his belongings upon Jacob's back and climbed onto the stranger's horse. They walked. The old horse moved with a steady pace that ate the miles without seeming to try. Gregor held Jacob's lead rope and walked alongside. Together they made their way across the barren lands. where soil grew thin, and rocks thrust upward, like ancient bones. They walked until the roads became confused. Every path looked the same, winding between gray stones, disappearing into the distance. Gregor stopped, uncertain, and saw an old man sitting upon a boulder where no old man had been a moment before. This elder wore robes, faded from rich brown to the color of dust, and his white beard fell nearly to his waist. But it was his eyes that held Gregor's attention. They seemed to look at him from a great height, as if the old man sat above the world, rather than upon a stone within it. "Good elder," Gregor called, "I seek the road to the walled city of wisdom. Which path must I take?" The old philosopher turned his gaze upon Gregor. "Tell me, woodcutter, what makes you leave your own home for such a distant place?" "I go to the market of minds," Gregor said. "I have tricks to sell, cunning to trade. I carry craft and cleverness in my head, and I would exchange them for gold." The philosopher nodded slowly. "You wish to visit the market of minds. Know this, those who enter rarely find their way back, not because the roads are closed, but because they discover they were never as clever as they believed." "How so?" Gregor asked. "In that market," the old man said, "if you are wise, you will find one wiser. If you are clever, you will find one more clever still. The merchants there are practitioners of deception, and they will trick you in ways you cannot perceive." But Gregor would not be turned aside. "Good elder, I must go. Show me the road, I beg you. I will not mislead you," the philosopher said. "Therefore I will ask you 3 questions. Answer all 3 truly, and I shall point your way. Fail even one, and you must turn back, never to approach that city." "I am ready," Gregor said. "First," the philosopher asked, "what is it that you see more clearly in darkness than in light, yet when you try to grasp it, it vanishes?" Gregor thought long. He watched his own shadow stretch across the stones in the afternoon sun, and he understood. "It is the shadow," he said. "By its nature, it belongs to darkness, and when light falls upon it, it disappears. If I try to catch my own shadow, my body blocks the light that creates it, and so it is gone." The philosopher smiled. The first warmth Gregor had seen in that ancient face. "Well answered, but 2 questions remain." "Ask the second," Gregor said. "What moves without legs, speaks without a tongue, and walks not upon its feet, but upon its head?" "That is the pen," Gregor replied. "It moves when we write with it, speaks through the words, forms without need of voice, and it rests upon its point when it marks the page." The philosopher's smile faded, and his eyes grew sharp. "You have quick wits, woodcutter, but the 3rd question has broken minds, far sharper than yours. Listen carefully." He leaned forward, and his voice dropped to a whisper that seemed to come from the stones themselves. "What is it that belongs to you alone, yet others use it more than you do? If you lose it, you lose everything. If you guard it too tightly, you lose everything just the same. It grows smaller the more you fill it with yourself, yet it grows larger when you make room for others." Gregor stood silent. The wind moved through the rocks, and somewhere a bird called, but he heard none of it. He turned the riddle in his mind, and each path he took led only to another wall. Asterisk belongs to me, yet others use it more. Asterisk. His hands? No, he used those. His name? But others spoke his name often, and he lost nothing by it. Asterisk grows smaller when I fill it, larger when I make room. Asterisk. He thought of his pride, his cleverness, his certainty that he could outwit any man in any market, and suddenly he understood that these very things were what the riddle warned against. "It is my life," he said slowly. "My days upon this earth, they belong to me alone. Yet others, the work I do for them, the love I give, take my time, more than I keep it for myself. If I lose my life, I lose all. If I clutch it selfishly, I lose the meaning of living. And when I fill my days only with my own desires, my life feels small and narrow. But when I make room for others, for purpose beyond myself, my life grows vast." The philosopher sat back, and for a long moment, he said nothing. Then he nodded once, a gesture of respect. "You have answered what many cannot," he said. "Continue upon this road. The horse you ride knows it well, for he was trained to find it. The paths here look the same to human eyes, but animals remember what men forget. You will come to a great stone. When the horse sees it, he will know the way and carry you to your destination." Gregor thanked the old man and pressed onward. They walked until the walls of the city rose before them, stone piled upon stone, weathered by centuries of wind and rain, yet standing still. Gregor passed through the gates and asked the first person he met where to find the market of minds. The citizen pointed straight ahead. "Keep walking until you reach the place where the clever cannot be told from the foolish, nor the deceiver from the deceived." Gregor walked until the street opened into a great square, unlike any market he had known. No fruits piled in pyramids here, no bolts of cloth or wheels of cheese. Instead, men and women sat upon woven mats, and before them lay scrolls of parchment, small carved boxes, and vials that caught the light. Signs hung above their heads. One read, "Learn the wisdom of laughter and make fools of your neighbors." Another, "Enter here and buy the words that win every argument." A third, "Purchase the secret that turns lead to gold." In a single day, Gregor wandered through the crowd, marveling at the absence of anything he recognized as commerce. No baker, no smith, no farmer selling eggs. Only words, only ideas, only the intangible made merchandise. In a quiet corner, he found an old man whose map bore no sign at all. Ancient leather scrolls lay before him, their edges dark with age. "What do you sell?" Gregor asked. The old merchant looked up, with eyes that had watched 1,000 customers come and go. "I sell what you seek, wisdom and cunning, craft and cleverness. But I also sell the opposite, folly, simplicity, and the art of pretending not to understand." Gregor crouched beside the mat. "What should I buy? In your estimation, wisdom or folly?" "If you are truly wise," the merchant said, "you will already know." Gregor peered at the scrolls and saw one wrapped in deerskin, tied with a leather cord. "What is that bound parchment?" "The greatest treasure in this market," the merchant said. "Buy it, and you will become the wealthiest man in your homeland. Its price, 1 gold coin, but the wisdom within will earn you 100 times that weight in gold." Gregor laughed, delighted by his own daring, and counted out the coin from his purse. The merchant handed him the wrapped scroll. Gregor untied the cord and unrolled the leather, and found written within, ** believe nothing that you see, and nothing that you hear. *" He looked up, confused. "This is no treasure. This is doubt." The merchant's smile was inscrutable. "You have purchased wisdom beyond price, woodcutter. Whether you recognize it remains to be seen." Gregor rose and walked to the center of the square. He raised the scroll above his head and called out to the crowd, "Good people of the market, I hold here the secret That has made me the richest man in my village. I bought it for 1 gold coin, and I will sell the knowledge of it for the same. Whoever gives me 1 gold coin, I will tell them the secret that will make them the wealthiest soul in their land. The crowd gathered, curious, skeptical, greedy. Only 1 coin? Someone called. What harm in that? One by one, they came forward. 50 coins passed into Gregor's hands. He unrolled the deerskin and read aloud. Asterisk, believe nothing that you see and nothing that you hear. Asterisk. The crowd fell silent. Then a laugh rippled through them, and another, until the square rang with their amusement. You bought doubt, someone called, and sold it as treasure. Gregor turned to the old merchant and raised his voice so all could hear. You earned 1 coin, my friend. I have earned 50, plus my own coin returned. Who, I wonder, understands this market better? He walked on, through merchants selling certainty and schemes. He passed a man crying out, come buy the wisdom that wins every wager. If it fails you, return and I will repay you double. Gregor stopped. You are so certain this wisdom works? Absolutely, the merchant said. Then I will pay you nothing now. Gregor said, give me the wisdom. I will test it. If it succeeds, I will pay you fairly. If it fails, I owe nothing. This seems fair, does it not? The merchant's face colored. That is not how this market functions. Here you pay first, then test. To do otherwise violates our custom. Gregor's laugh was gentle. Ah, so you do not trust your own merchandise as completely as you ask others to trust it. He left the man sputtering and walked deeper into the market. In a narrow alley where few customers wandered, he found another merchant sitting before a small iron box. What is in the box? Gregor asked. Truth, the merchant said. Bitter truth, sold cheap. 1 silver coin buys you knowledge you will not want, but cannot deny. Gregor had coin to spare now, and curiosity to match it. He paid his silver and received a folded paper. He opened it and read. Asterisk, the greatest fool is he who pays to learn what he already knows. Asterisk. Gregor threw back his head and laughed long and loud. Then he walked to the busiest corner of the market and raised his voice above the din. Who wishes to learn bitter truth? He called. Who seeks knowledge? They will reject, yet cannot refute. 10 men and women came forward, eager, suspicious, hopeful. Gregor collected half a silver coin from each, 5 coins in total. He unfolded the paper and read. Asterisk, the greatest fool is he who pays to learn what he already knows. The crowd's laughter was rueful, knowing, directed at themselves. You told us, one woman said, that we would not want this truth, yet we could not deny it. And can you deny it now? Gregor asked. We cannot, they admitted. We knew this already, yet we paid to hear it spoken. We are the fools, the paper describes. At that moment, cry rose from the center of the square. My box of secrets, has been stolen. The casket of ancient kings, gone. Gregor pushed through the crowd to find a merchant in distress, his mat empty, where the iron box had sat. It contained the secrets of old rulers. The merchant cried, the wisdom of lost civilizations. Whoever took it must not want these secrets known. Gregor studied the man's face, the careful arrangement of his distress. If someone wanted these secrets hidden, he said slowly, they would not steal the box to read them, they would steal it to destroy it. But you say they wish to keep them secret, which suggests they already know them. This is a puzzle. He looked around and noticed a figure in a dark cloak. moving through the edge of the crowd, glancing back with eyes too careful for an innocent man. There, Gregor said, pointing. That man carries something beneath his cloak. His steps are wrong. He walks as if burdened. The merchant rushed to the cloaked figure and seized him. The cloak fell open, and there was the iron box. But when they opened it, they found only emptiness. Gregor frowned. Empty? But why would? The merchant's distress had vanished, replaced by a sly smile. My brother, he said, indicating the cloaked man. We arranged this drama to draw the crowd. You see, I sat here all morning, and no one looked twice at my wares. But when I cried that something precious was stolen, suddenly everyone wanted to know what secrets the box contained. Gregor nodded, understanding. The value was not in the contents, but in the mystery. He turned and saw a narrow street leading away from the square, one he had not noticed before. Something drew him toward it. He walked until he found an old shop where dust lay thick upon everything, and behind a counter stood a man so ancient he seemed to have grown from the stone floor. You know why I am here? Gregor said. It was not a question. I know, the old man said. A merchant from this city travels the world, seeking clever men. He tells them they can become rich in the market of mines. He brings them here, and they come hoping to find wealth. This place was once called the Street of Dry Leaves, where paper was made and sold. Over time, it became the Street of Dried Wisdom, slogans written on paper to hang in houses. When people stopped buying, the merchants invented this festival to draw them back. But I see no treasure here, Gregor said. No gold, no palace such as I was promised. The old shopkeeper leaned forward. What if I offered you a treasure that never empties? Wealth that grows. The more you spend it, I will give it to you. But you must leave immediately. You must go home and never return to this market, for the tricksters have made it a place of robbery. I accept your condition, Gregor said. Then come, the old man said. Outside the Street of Dried Wisdom, I will give you what I promised. Gregor led his horse Jacob out of the market, away from the square of shouting merchants. When they had walked far enough that the sounds faded behind them, the old man produced a sealed letter. The treasure is within, he said, but do not open it yet, not until you are home. Beware of thieves on the road, and only when you stand within your own house, with your own door closed behind you, break the seal. Gregor thanked him and mounted Jacob. The old horse knew the way home, as well as the stranger's horse had known the way to the city. They walked the rocky roads, passed through the barren lands, and came at last to the northern village. Marta met him at the door, her eyebrow raised. In that expression he knew so well. So, husband, what have you brought me? Gregor smiled, weary and satisfied. Some gold and silver, yes, but the true treasure is in this letter. A wise man promised it would never empty, that I would live upon it all my days. Then open it, Marta said, and show me this endless wealth. Gregor broke the seal and unrolled the paper. In beautiful script, it read, contentment is the only treasure that never runs out. He laughed, and the sound was pure and clear as spring water. He looked at Marta, and she looked at him, and they both understood. Truly, Gregor said, contentment is the treasure that never empties. True wealth is being satisfied with what life has given you. From that day forward, Gregor and Marta lived with full hearts in a quiet house. They wanted no more than they had, and so they never lacked for anything. And when travelers passed through the northern village, seeking the road to the walled city of wisdom, Gregor would smile and say nothing, for he had learned that the shortest path to treasure is the road that leads home.